The Lost City of Atlantis, Myth or Reality? Imagine for a moment a civilization so advanced that it mastered architecture, engineering, and trade thousands of years before our era. A majestic city surrounded by concentric rings of land and water, with golden temples, lush gardens, and harbors full of ships that sailed to every corner of the ancient world. A power so great that it challenged the nations of its time, and that, in just one day and one night, disappeared beneath the sea. Don't forget to subscribe, because the next mystery might be even closer than you think. That is the legend of Atlantis, Plato and the first mention. Everything we know about Atlantis comes from a single man, Plato, the great Greek philosopher, more than 2,000 years ago. In two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, Plato claimed that Atlantis had existed about 9,000 years before his own time. He described it as a gigantic island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar, inhabited by a powerful people, rich in resources and with astonishing technology. According to Plato, the Atlanteans had immense temples, walls covered with shining metals, and even a gigantic canal that connected the city to the ocean. Their power was so great that they tried to conquer much of the Mediterranean. But then they faced small yet brave Athens, which managed to stop them. Plato ends with a tragic conclusion. In a single day and night, earthquakes and floods sank Atlantis into the sea, erasing every trace of its existence. A myth with a purpose? For centuries, philosophers and historians debated whether Atlantis was real or simply a parable. For many experts, Plato used the story as a political metaphor, a warning about arrogance and the downfall of empires. Atlantis represented reckless ambition, while Athens symbolized virtue and justice. But then comes the great question. If it was all invented, why did Plato give so many geographical and architectural details? Why did he place its fall at such a specific time? Searches and theories. Over the centuries, Atlantis stopped being just philosophy and became an archaeological mystery. Explorers, sailors, and scientists began searching for it in the most unlikely places. Some believe Atlantis was in the Mediterranean, perhaps on the island of Santorini, where a massive volcanic eruption destroyed the Minoan civilization more than 3,000 years ago. Others point to the Atlantic Ocean, near the Azores or the Canary Islands, claiming that the remains of a great island might lie submerged there. Some even place it in America, suggesting that pre-Columbian peoples inherited knowledge from Atlanteans who survived the cataclysm. Even in the 20th century, the famous psychic Edgar Cayce claimed that the remains of Atlantis would appear off the coast of the Bahamas. And in places like Bimini, mysterious underwater structures have fueled the imagination of those who believe Atlantis truly existed. An advanced civilization. The legend says the Atlanteans possessed not only wealth, but also superior knowledge. Some modern accounts speak of clean energy, advanced technology, and even flying machines. Are these exaggerations of modern imagination? Or distorted memories of a real people who disappeared, leaving behind only an echo in human memory? Eternal fascination. Whether myth or reality, Atlantis represents something deeper. The idea of a lost golden age, a civilization that could have changed the course of history, but was devoured by its own arrogance, and by the forces of nature. Every time archaeologists discover ruins beneath the sea, every time ancient maps reveal islands that no longer exist, the myth resurfaces. And the question remains, was Plato a chronicler passing down a distant memory of a real people? Or did he invent the story as a moral warning, never imagining that 2 millennia later, we would still be searching for it? Final reflection. Atlantis, at its core, speaks about us, about our ambition to grow, to conquer, to dominate, about how, in an instant, everything we build can disappear. Perhaps we will never find the lost city. Perhaps it exists only in the imagination of mankind. But as long as we keep dreaming of it, Atlantis will never truly sink. Plato did not just say that Atlantis existed, he described it in vivid detail. It was surrounded by concentric rings of land and sea, like a perfect spiral. Massive bridges and canals connected each ring. Walls were covered with orichalcum, a mysterious metal said to be more valuable than gold. And at the center stood colossal temples, including one dedicated to Poseidon, with a giant statue of the god riding winged horses. The precise date of its fall, Santorini, Mediterranean. A massive volcanic eruption destroyed the Minoan civilization in the 16th century BC. Azores, Huasti, Canary Islands, Atlantic. Archipelagos that some believe are the remains of a sunken continent. America. Some argue Plato was referring to lands beyond the Atlantic, where civilizations like the Maya or Aztecs inherited Atlantean knowledge.